Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this hybrid meeting of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee for this first meeting of this municipal year. We have some members present in the Lancastrian, some joining from home, and we have made provision for members of the public to listen in. If the technology fails, then I will adjourn the meeting for a few minutes to try and resolve the issue, or if this is not possible, a new date and time will be organised. For each item, I will invite members to use the raised hand function on your iPad to make any comments to ensure each member has the opportunity to speak and that they are not speaking over each other. When speaking, please reference the paragraph number to enable everybody to follow you. Please mute your microphone and video feed when you are not talking. Now, please can I ask members to confirm that they can hear and speak before the meeting begins. I will call out each member. So if you can say yes. Right. Councillor Roy Lees.
Yes.
Councillor Peter Gabbard. Councillor Yvonne Hargreaves.
Yes.
Councillor Hasina Khan.
Yes.
Councillor Marion Lowe.
Yes.
Councillor Matt Lynch. Councillor June Molyneux.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Steve Murphy. Councillor Deborah Platt.
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Paul Sloan. And Councillor Tim Smith.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Also, officers present, Chris Moyser. Laura Jean Taylor.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Portia Taylor Black. Rachel
Yes.
Salter. And Nina. I know she's here.
Yeah, here, Chair. Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Right, have we got any apologies?
We have apologies from Councillor Alex Hilton, Chair.
Thank you. So we move on to item 1, or the minutes of the previous meeting. Item 1, minutes of the meeting held on Thursday, the 23rd of January. Well, in fact, I'll take these all together because they're so long ago. I'm certain you will approve them all. Minutes of the meeting Thursday, 27th of February. Minutes of the meeting Thursday, 30th of January. And minutes of the meeting Thursday, the 5th of March. Are you all
Move
happy
those, Chair.
with the minutes, if you can remember them or have read them? Any
Seconded, Chair.
matters
Seconded, Chair.
Oh, thank you, Roy. Matters arising, if anybody got any comments?
Chair, just for record, I have just attended the meeting. It's Councillor Lynch.
Welcome. Thank you. Good evening, Matt. Item 5 then is declarations of any interest. Members are reminded of their responsibility to declare any pecuniary interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda. Item 6, public questions. Are there any public questions? I don't think so. So we'll move on to item 7, which is the scrutiny of the Executive Cabinet minutes that we've had. Minutes of the meeting on Thursday, the 5th of March. And minutes of the, oh no, I'm wrong here. Minutes of the meeting on Thursday, the 16th of January. Minutes of the meeting on Thursday, the 13th of January. And minutes of the meeting held on 18th of June. Have you all had a chance to have a read of those?
Yes, Chair.
Comments? Yes.
Chair, can I ask a question in regard to the minutes on Thursday, the 13th of February? I won't be doing my job as a ward councillor if I didn't ask for an update on Cowling Farm. I appreciate we've obviously other priorities have happened since then. I just wondered if things have progressed in terms of that, or if we could have an update after the meeting, maybe.
I'm certain we have, and I'm certain we can ask the respective officers to let us all have an update. I think at one of the cabinet meetings, there was a discussion on Cowling Farm, but I don't know how far back that was really. But we will get an update. Things that will have moved on, certain.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Can we organise that?
Yeah, we can get an update on that, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get an
Thank you very
update.
much. Thank you. So are you all happy with the exec cabinet papers for the last 3 or 6 months, really? So if you are, we can move on to notice of executive decisions, which are numerous, and there's been quite a lot I've seen coming through the mechanism of seeing them all. There's various pages on the papers, and if there's anybody got any queries on any of them, please don't hesitate to ask the officers concerned. I mean, it covers lots of things from this month, and quite a lot is happening forward. It looks as though the cabinet will have quite a long agenda, possibly in July. Quite a lot going to happen, and quite a bit of activity in June, really. So if anybody's got any queries on some of the decisions that are going to be made, please let me know, and we'll take it up with the respective officers or directors and get some answers. I see the last one of the executive papers. There's one on recycling strategy, which will be of interest when that comes through in July. So if we haven't got any queries on the executive decision, we can move on to item 9, which is the crime and disorder scrutiny, which is going to be presented by Laura Jean Taylor. Are you okay, Laura?
Hello, yes. Is everybody okay? I'll just pop my...
If you could just give a brief summary of the report, then if we've got any queries or questions, we'll ask them. Thank you.
I will, yes. So the report is still a draft. That's just important to point out. It's not yet public facing, and may not be, is something to point out, because it was intended for the 2021 period, which with COVID-19 it hasn't ended up being published. So I think this is going to end up the basis for forming the next period. So it should provide us with a good bed to start the next one. So the report is part of the statutory obligations under the Crime and Disorder Act of established community safety partnerships. So we at Chorley have formed a further partnership with South Ribble due to our similar demographic profiles. So the report outlines any key concerns and what we are going to do about them key concerns in order to try and keep the borough safe. The key concerns are brought about from a strategic assessment, which is supplied by a police analyst on the key data that provides the main areas which we form priorities. And under each priority, we have said what we want to achieve as a borough, which is mainly to reduce crime and disorder and make sure people feel safe. What we currently do towards that priority, and anything that we can do further, or what we plan to do. So that's outlined for each main priorities, which the ones that was chosen based on the analysis, the strategic analysis that came from the police, is antisocial behaviour, exploitation, domestic abuse, and road safety. So we are very much independent on contributions from wider partnerships, volunteer groups, to help us put together our actions and action plan throughout the year. We have £10,000 funding, which we try and use, which we have to apply for based on each. We don't get given the £10,000. It's something we have to apply for in sections. So if there's something which we think is great, or something that we want to use, we can apply for that £10,000. So the report, what would have been reported at the back, is we're going to have a live action plan, and that would maybe demonstrate some of the things that we've used that for. I feel like I've talked for ages, so I'll pause for a second. Has anybody got any questions so far?
Yes, Chair, I've raised my hand. Hello?
Hello.
Right. Under this item, we are required to have a committee to look into this. The last time that we dealt with anything was with exploitation. That was a few years ago. We've not done anything since, have we?
We last had the last report of this. They're usually on 3-year windows because that's the strategic assessment that we get is ran with the data is for 3 years. So that the last report we have missed. You are right though. We have missed almost 2 years because the last report was 2015. I think it was.
Yes, that's right.
So when I came part of the team about 18 months ago now, we began writing this one to try and hit the end of this 3-year window, and we was just about there, and then COVID-19 hit. So hopefully this sorry, just 1 second, I'm gonna have to put my dog out because he's causing a racket. Oh, there we are. Sorry. Yeah, so you're right. We did have a previous report, which was the 2015 report. So this should have been published in 2018. Going into should have been the 3-year window ending in 2021. So we was almost 2 years behind on this report.
Any further questions? Yes, Kim.
No, that's okay, Jim.
Kim?
Yeah, I had a question about the one of the priorities. I think it's page 88 under road safety. I noticed it was saying about excessive speed being a priority, but I'm sure I've read somewhere recently that Lancashire Road Safety Partnership has taken the view that they won't reassess roads in terms of the priorities and so forth for roads that have been assessed already within the last 3 years. Now, obviously, traffic changes, stuff happens, new developments come on, and more houses are being built, etc. I just wondered whether or not you had any thoughts on that, or whether or not that would impact on that road safety priority, really.
Potentially, because this is what we can do locally in addition to such as the Road Safety Partnership. It is something that the Road Safety Partnership hasn't attended what we call the Officer Working Group before, and we have recently invited them, and we will be inviting them to see how we can work together. So it's what we can do locally. So what we've put on there about what we currently do, which I've had a look into, which may need to change. We put here about the installation of speed indicator devices known as SPIDs. They're something which we can potentially fund locally if there are local areas, which are, you know, the little speed devices that you can attach to lampposts, and they try to be a bit of a deterrent. Things like that we can do. We can do what we call the Rosa Days, which is something that again we do plan to do when things get back to normal, which is where we would have a multi-agency, where we would have environmental health, we would have VOSA. I can't remember what the other one's called now, along with the police, and we'd be pulling vehicles in one by one and checking them for the tax insurance, MLT, or any types of ASB if they've had any warnings before under the section 59 of the road traffic. I don't know what the act's called, but the so we're going to try and do that twice a year. That's also not happened since I think 2019. So we're going to try and do one of them or two of them locally, and that will be going out asking for areas of consideration that are of a concern. So it's what we can do in addition to the Road Safety Partnership based on our local intel. So road safety is not something that we've done much work on previously, as well as water safety, which is something which isn't as part of this, which most recently and really keen to bring into this. And what I don't want to do is duplicate work that's already been done by the partnerships. There is a road safety partnership for a purpose, and there is a water safety partnership for a purpose, but it's what we can do in addition to them. So we are going to be definitely looking at that. Something else that we're looking at is doing a piece of work on the motorcycle nuisance under this as well, under the road safety. We're looking at barrier installations across the borough. Potentially how we can get some funding for them, where anything's needed to try and stop off-road motorcyclists to have the pathway from one place to another, where we're constantly hearing the zooming around as such, and where we can try and encourage either private landowners, either ask from Lancashire County Council or ourselves, where we can install some calming measures. We're already working with the police locally, and we've had a week of action a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you noticed on the social media, where there's been about 6 seizures of motorcycles during the lockdown period. So which is quite significant. 6 doesn't sound a lot, but it's a lot better than we have been doing previously.
That's great, brilliant, thank you.
Any further questions?
Sorry, John. Regarding that, the motorcycles, I know that a lot of the motorcycles go on private land and across public land, and which is a problem. But I'm getting a lot of complaints of these off-roaders on the public highway. And in fact, outside of my house the other night, about a week ago, there was 8 off-road bikes came down Coplaw Lane, and they're reported regularly, but they just keep coming. I think they're coming from Chorley.
I agree. It's a challenging one. I think we receive at minimum 2 to 3 reports a week. It's persistently, I'd say, within our top 5 complaints that we receive under the public protection team. It is a challenge because we all have different powers. So when you say exactly that they're on the highway, that it's a direct offence, but we don't have the power as council operatives when it comes to that offence of riding that vehicle on the highway. That is for the police to enforce. And when we have spoken to the police about their response, they find it really difficult to catch them, as you can imagine. By the time they get there, they're gone. And many of these don't have registration plates, and they wear helmets. So to try and identify that user is really challenging. When we do have an identified user, then that's a little bit different. That's where we can use our powers as council officers under Antisocial Behaviour, under the Antisocial Behaviour Act. So we have quite recently had these meetings with the police and discussed an action plan. It's something that I've discussed to have consistency across the team of our approach, and we're pulling together a bit of a protocol of how to treat each complaint, because each one's different. Some are on private land, some are on public land, some have registration, some are without. They're all individual cases, but I totally agree. It is still a problem. And I think it should remain a priority for us to focus on.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Thank you.
On road safety, during the lockdown, a lot of boroughs have found that because there's very little traffic on the road, cars have been out speeding and everything else. Has that been a problem around this area?
We haven't received complaints directly about just normal vehicles, no, but we've definitely seen an increase in the off-road motorcycle nuisance.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any further questions from anybody? Well, Canon, thank you for that report. It's an ongoing thing, and hopefully, we'll get a further update as the months go on. Really, I'm certain after the virus or the pandemic is over, reduced, then we'll probably get some further figures. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we go on to item 10, which is the Overview and Scrutiny Task Group Child Sexual Exploitation Monitoring Recommendations, pages 93 to 96. I think that's again you, Laura.
I think it is.
You keeping you going.
Sorry. I'll just go through any actions that wasn't completed, because I think this is about dates from some time now. I think this was back 2018. So if there's any that wasn't completed, I will just look as to why. So we had training and awareness. So there was training to be provided for elected members. I think, can you all confirm that that was completed? I think if we extended that through the Emerge training modules. Licensing and Public Safety Committee to receive training to be included. So training was organised and delivered 2017-18, and a refresher was meant to go ahead July 2020. So that again hasn't gone ahead due to current circumstances. But I do think that refreshers can be completed through the Emerge modules. Training to be provided through the e-legend. Sorry, I'm repeating myself on some of these here. All regulatory service officers to receive the same training. That was completed. Support campaigns in relation to CSE and safeguarding. So CSE week utilised. So that's also part of the community safety partner action plan. We make sure that all the awareness weeks are calendared in to make sure that we do work with the correct agencies to do the public awareness on them days. So that's completed and ongoing. Training completed across completed. So we've got here the wider licensing trade to be invited for CSE trade. So that's something that wasn't completed because I think initially the reason it was brought to for the license, the taxi trade, was because of the Rochdale circumstances at the time when the report was written. But when we looked at it, it was the wider licensing trade was just so big to target, so it wasn't targeted at the time. So that's something that wasn't completed. Continue to engage with high schools. So we all have a spot for the for any CSE leads within the high schools. We have a list of them contacts if needed, and we would work with them if needed. Delivering events to raise CSE awareness. So to continue to work with early action team with the police. Again, I sit on the meetings for that. We attend tasking meetings weekly. The police chair the officer working group, which is under the community safety partnership. We also have the pivot cases, which would discuss any concerns around early action in CSE. Let me continue. Anything else that's not completed? Sorry, I don't want to just read the report as it's written because I think everything else under there has been completed. So the only action across the whole report that wasn't completed was providing training to the wider licensing trade.
And is that something that you are looking to? Well, hang on, am I on?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right. Is that something you intend to do over the next few months or years?
I think it would take years, I think, was the problem. So that's not something which I would be responsible for, but I did liaise when I was updating the report with the licensing team manager, and it was seen that it would be a very big task in order to. So it may be, but I think it would be on a voluntary basis. I think it would be something that they could sign up to, but in order to get all them onto our Emerge modules we would have to have some sort of new sort of package that we could deliver. It could be maybe a workshop or a one-day event, which we've had again under the community safety partnership for other purposes. We've had that for county lines and social behaviour, so it's something that I think would have to be delivered as like a workshop. And attendance booked on, rather than everybody. It'd be far too difficult to get them logging on to the council systems to deliver the package which is already designed.
I mean, and one of the problems is with the licensing trade, a lot more pubs or hotels are getting more children in because of food they're serving or what have you, and it might well be something that should be looked at over the next few years. Really, I'm not saying it should be done immediately, but I'm certain licensees probably don't know the problems with child safety, and might well be a useful thing to do for them.
Okay, I can put that in the as part of the previous action plan, which we discussed, the Community Safety Partnerships action plan. I can take that action into that as part of the exploitation. Okay,
thank you. Anybody got any further questions?
Yes, Chair.
Yes,
it's Councillor Lees. I know that when people apply for licences, and we go around and we assess the positioning of gaming machines, etc., etc., and a lot of them to make sure that they are within sight of the bar or the owners. But do we go around and check if a pub's been refurbished, or were they put the new gaming machines, to make sure that they are in a visual place?
I'm not sure we would, just because. Sorry, I'm not a licensing officer. Just to add here, just so I don't. But it would be I'm not sure that they have any requirement to inform us of any refurbishment. So it's whether we would simply know about that. I don't, unless they've had maybe a change in the circumstances, or a change in the license when they've closed for a period of time and then reopened, then we would be aware of the refurbishment. But otherwise, I think as long as there's no planning requirements, I can't see that they would need to inform us of any refurbishments or changes. So I don't think we will proactively go and check that after a refurbishment.
Well, I accept that, but we're saying that we've not really been, we've been in contact with the taxi drivers, etc., but we've not been a dialogue with the license holders of pubs and that regarding this, and it just seems it's slipping by the wayside.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we did only focus the efforts onto a particular part of the licence trade rather than the wider licence trade. But like I said, under the exploitation and the community safety partnership, I can bring that action across and make sure it is that there is some form of availability for awareness or training to the wider licensing trade.
Right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Yvonne.
I'm just, Laura, going back to talking about workshops apart, as opposed to merge. I'd like to go back to child exploitation. I attended a private workshop on exploitation of young boys, because there's not enough emphasis on young boys, and they are a target for drug dealers, and so in deprived areas, it's quite a serious problem. I do feel it was beneficial, far more beneficial than doing something online, and I'd like to see us having training packages that actually really sort of approach the issues and all of the issues surrounding young men, because they're forgotten very much. But people tend to focus on girls, but young boys are really very vulnerable. So it'd be really good to have a workshop. Phil Mitchell is one that I've attended, and I thought that was very good, very well run.
We actually have. It's probably something that we haven't shared enough, really. We did something called I think it's Safer Lives, Safer Streets, or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but we worked with Inspire, and we, as part of this funding, the funding that we got here, us as officers went to one, which was a workshop held at the police headquarters, and the guy who delivered it is fantastic. He's spent a lot of time working with tribes and troops across deprived countries. He's got waves of knowledge and background where it comes to gangs and crime, etc. And he delivers it very much at that level. He can speak to them very much at that level. So we went to a workshop for frontline professionals, and he was intimidating. He was so engaging, and we thought he's fantastic. So we got in touch, and we arranged and used some of this funding for him to deliver 2 sessions at Inspire. But we also got in contact with the PRUs, what's it stand for, the PRUs, where you have schools that aren't necessarily your normal day-to-day schools. It's where you do predominantly have young males, and we got in touch with the leads there, the safeguarding leads, and asked for names to be put forward, and we held it at Primrose Gardens, and it was only a select, there was about six young males that we got, which was put forward. We bribed them, we fed them, and they got as part of this funding, we made sure they got selection boxes, they got McDonald's for the day, and they each got a JD voucher to attend, and it was absolutely fantastic. And we have continued to work with some of them. They have to drop in periodically with them when we've got them signed up to some gym memberships and things. So maybe that's just us not cascading some of the good things that we have done there. And that was a fantastic workshop. I completely agree. They are a lot better than online.
Yeah.
And that is something that they've done annually with this funding, is usually we pick some sort of training provider on an emerging issue to come in and do workshops either across schools or at our venues.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask one further question? I mean, this report goes back, or the original report goes back to 2017. I'm just wondering whether we should have an updated member learning session during this coming year on any new thoughts on child exploitation. It is a big issue around the country, really. I just wonder whether we should be looking to hold another member training. We can discuss that with the officers and yourself for this coming. I don't know how the programme is fixed for this year, but it might well be probably the new year. We can have a session on child exploitation again. Okay, is there any comment?
I think that would be sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think that would be a good idea, and I think go back to Laura. I did attend the one at Inspire. And I think we're talking about the same person, Phil Mitchell.
Well, when you said Phil Mitchell, I did think, yes,
yeah,
he's not. He looks like Phil Mitchell, but he's not. Yes, that is the one. So we have them sessions, but yeah, we did have some targeted sessions as well, that went on at Primrose Gardens as well as them sessions. Yeah.
Okay, so well, that's what I was thinking. Actually, it'd be very beneficial because it's very interactive, and it's very thought-provoking, and it's quite good because I view things differently now in my ward.
Yeah,
I'm much more aware of what's going on there.
He was fantastic, wasn't he? Yeah, we could definitely look to get him back. And I know he didn't do sexual exploitation as such, but he did definitely incorporate it. But we could definitely look to have him as maybe a member learning session.
Yep, I would propose that.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. So if we can start that getting in the calendar for the member training over this coming year. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So thank you, Laura. And can I ask the committee to note the report?
Chair, I'd like to come in. I did.
Oh, sorry, Zena.
I don't think it's gone through. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that I'd like to see added in there. In my work, being a very few Muslim counsellors here, I get contacted by a lot of Muslim young people and parents regards to online grooming. Now, a lot of the Muslim families don't have TVs in the households, but they have a lot of access to internet through the phones or computer laptops. And a few girls have got in trouble through this. I'd like to see some work around, some more investigation into that. Also,
yeah, carry on, Hazina.
Okay, I thought you were making notes. That's why I stopped. And also around mosques, right? In our mosques in Lancashire, a lot of the women have concerns about their children going in because there's not a security or cameras there. Because it's such a taboo subject for any communities, but when it comes to Asian Muslims, they don't want to talk about it. So the girls, if anything happens to the girls, they're not allowed to mention it. Even if they tell the parents, they won't talk about it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done around that, and it's getting a bigger and bigger issues. These families don't tend to contact like authorities or the police, but to someone like me, they have been coming. I've guided them as best as possible and signpost them, but I don't think they use the services. I would like to be given the opportunity to do some more work on that myself, plus the committee, whenever we get the chance.
Yeah, I think cybercrime or cyber exploitation is definitely a good suggestion to pull through.
Okay.
And I don't think that even is broken down in the analysis. The reason the headings that we have under the community safety partnership is the way the analysis is broke down from the strategic assessment. So and that may be why we've never maybe incorporated it as that title as such. But we do have exploitation in there, so maybe we just need to, like you say, zone in on our emerging local trends. So yeah, certainly I'll add some notes on that. But just going on to some of the specific things you think, I think we should maybe link in separate from this about any specific things that if there's anybody we can help or anything that needs investigating separately, if you want to link in after separately from this.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Sienna, are you all right with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So we've accepted the report be noted, and can I thank you, Laura, for your involvement this evening. And if you want to log off, you can do it.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Right.
Thanks, Laura.
Item 11, which is the overview task group rollout of superfast broadband by BT, monitoring of recommendations, pages 97 to 102, and that is Portia. Hello.
Hiya, I think.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Hiya, I'm Rachel Salter. I think I'm going to run through it.
All right, thank you.
Portia will dip in if she needs to. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
The detail of the report is pretty much as is from March, the update in March. Obviously, things have stalled a little bit in terms of actioning things as a result of COVID-19, but there are a few elements that I can pick up verbally that have been that we've progressed since the last meeting. The website for the council is being updated. We were offered to put a funding bid into the MHCLG for shovel-ready projects in a bid for them to the government to get the economy moving again and the construction industry moving again. So we've resurrected the local full fibre networks bid that was prepared some time ago, and included that within as one of the projects to put forward. It hasn't been put forward as a priority project, but we'll continue to push that whenever we get an opportunity to see if we can get some funding towards that. In terms of kind of digital connectivity, obviously it's really important in these times more than ever, as we're all working from home and using the internet a lot more. So the any digital support has been included in many of the recovery plans for the council and against COVID-19, including the business engagement team and the communities team. The gigabit voucher scheme for rural businesses is still available, and that is being promoted to any rural businesses by the business engagement team as they engage with them. So that's my update for that one.
Right, thank you very much. Has anybody got any questions? Matt, are you happy with the recommendations or the update? You left something to say about broadband or the IT systems? Are you still with us, Matt? No.
I am.
Oh, yes.
I am, Chair, but I'm having my own broadband issues tonight, so I think I'd rather leave it tonight, as I might go on a wild rant of Steve Holgate proportions.
All right. Right. I mean, it would appear that, I mean, most things have been covered on this. I mean, the first item, update provided March 20, Virgin haven't shared any plans with Lancashire County Council, but BT have, so presumably...
Chair,
walk away. Yes, hello.
What I would say is, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is that the the responsibility to include broadband as part of any planning decision it is woolly at best. I understood that we were looking at whether broadband could become part of recommendations for planning applications going forward. Obviously, I represent parts of Buckshaw, you represent parts of Buckshaw. Buckshaw is one of those areas where it's like the wild west for broadband connectivity. I think parts of the country have been issued with gas quicker than they've been issued with broadband in the 21st century. So there's still a lot of work to actually be done, and I'm not convinced that all the work that is being done is actually solving the problem. So I think that there certainly is some further push needed. How that happens, you've just raised the issue of Virgin. I wrote to Virgin many years ago about Buckshaw. Wouldn't cross the train lines, too expensive. Now you've got thousands of properties there screaming for better connectivity. How that is not financially viable amazes me. I'm sure Mr. Branson, in his current financial woes, would love to create some income revenue from such schemes. So I think it's, yes, we've done a lot, but there is certainly a long way to go.
Right. Okay. Thanks for that. I'm not a great IT person, so I'm not going to make any comments at all, really. Yes, Kim.
I was just going to say, I think Simon Charnock deserves a big pat on the back for the training. We've had fantastic feedback from people that have been on it across Adlington and Heath Charnock and that area, and I think he does a really good job. Also, as well, I think there are several residents in White Coppice that have seen progress with their broadband connection now, which I know they're really chuffed with. So I think things are moving. It's not moving as quick as what we would like. But yeah, it is improving. Thank you.
I mean, do members think we should be looking at this further? We're going to look at the work programme. Is this something we should be looking at on a fairly regular basis to keep pressure on the providers? Yes, Kim.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep pressure on the providers, and I think both from new estates perspective, because they're going up all the time, but also to make sure that people don't get forgotten in some of these outlying areas that aren't seen as commercially viable for some of these organisations. I mean, I've spoken to people in little hamlets in the middle of nowhere that have been told they'd have to pay 80 grand to get a broadband connection. It's never going to happen. And it's but it's a basic of life, isn't it? And people need it. Yeah, so yeah. I think we do have to keep the pressure on them, definitely.
Rachel, have you anything further comments to make about things? Really, are you keeping pressure on all these providers all the time, or IT section?
Yeah, I think it's probably something that we can have another push on, and I think having another conversation with LCC as well in terms of the measures that they're putting in place. So I think before the next meeting, we could probably look at having another push with them and seeing what we get back from them.
Yes, I mean, it might well be that, shall we say, later in the year or this municipal year, early next year, it might well be to get Lancashire County Council back and have another task group looking for one particular meeting and just see if they can update us or give us some help with what the problems we've got, really. Yeah. So that might be something we can look at. Okay. Any further questions? So can I thank you, Rachel, for your patience until your time was up. So thank you very much. And if you want to log out, you can do with pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye. got to ask the committee that the report is noted. Are you all in favour of that? Thank you. So we're going to the last item this evening, is the Overview and Scrutiny Work Programme. It's a question of what we do this coming year. Yes.
Reporting back the annual report.
Oh, I've forgotten that. All right. But annual report, yes. Very. The annual report, which has been compiled by Nina, and I've got to thank her very much for her work on this. It's a mammoth task. It really isn't until you read the report how much work which this committee does, really, with the task group and the performance panel, and also the full committee. So I've got to thank all the committee really for their efforts this last year. It hasn't been the easy of years with the lockdown in March, but we've got through that now, and hopefully things will get better. But I've got to just say thank you to all the officers and directors who came before the panel and officers who attend these scrutiny meetings, because we had a very successful year. I don't know whether anybody's got any comments to make about the report, but what about my vice chair? Are you happy with the report, Roy? Roy? He's gone. He's watching television. So, anybody got any comments to make on the annual report?
No, I'm in favour, John. I just had difficulty getting back onto the page. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So if you're happy with the report, that's great. And so, can the report be noted? This will go to cabinet or council. Council. Very good. That'll be the next council meeting. So I can make some comments at that meeting anyway. So thank you for that. So we will go on to item 13, which is the Overview and Scrutiny Work Programme for this municipal year. We've nothing really pending, and we should look at doing a task group on some item before the new year anyway. Has anybody got any thoughts, any ideas of what we might do a task group on? I've got three things here, but I'll just wait for anybody else to any subject
Chair.
Be looking at.
Sorry, hi Chair. I would propose looking into air quality for the borough as kind of a tag on to the green agenda we did last year.
Well, true. Thanks for that. I mean, the air pollution. I've been on to various offices about this for, it must be about a year now, and I think I'm not mistaken. There should have been a report came to cabinet in March sometime, but I know one of the officers has been ill and somebody else was dealing with it. I will chase it up, and I'll try and make sure the next Overview and Scrutiny meeting that we do get an air pollution report. It is pending. I know I get a bit cross about it because we should have had this in March, but of course with the lockdown things have been delayed anyway. So, but I will chase it up. If there's no sign of it coming, then I will probably get a task group together to look at it in more detail. But it might well be once we've got the report, we can then do a task group to look at the recommendations, etc.
And John,
yes,
John,
yes.
I think we should revisit the adoption of estates, because that's been a big bugbear of mine by residents, because the street lights and that people are saying that it's not my responsibility.
Well, this is the thing. Everybody washes their hands of it. Yes, I mean we did do a scrutiny.
Chair, it's Chris Moister. It does appear to be on the list for the 1st of October, the adoption of estates, as is air quality.
I was looking. It is. Oh, it is. Very good. Right. Okay. Well,
thanks, Chris.
We'll look forward to seeing that report. Thank you very much. But there's two suggestions I've got. One is the buses. We seem to. I know we've had a report last year, but I think we should keep looking at buses in this area. I've only just heard this week from one of my residents that they've taken the school bus off one of the routes going to Southland High School from Whittle, which is causing a bit of a problem. So it might well be that we should have a task group just to look at the buses situation and see what they are doing. I know they brought new routes in and different timetables, but whether these are satisfactory for everybody, I don't know. So if you've got any thoughts on that.
I'll second that,
Chair.
Okay.
Chair.
Thanks, Chair.
Just on that point.
Chair.
Hang on. June first.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, not just buses, can't we just keep it as public? Because a couple of areas do have train stations.
Yeah.
And we've been pushing for years and years and years at Adlington. We've got a train station that trains don't stop at, which is so frustrating when there are people that could use the trains.
Right.
So perhaps leave it as public transport. Make it up.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. Chris, you're going to say something, Chris?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, is it something that you want looked at generally in relation to public transport and provision, or do you want any kind of emphasis in relation to the COVID-19 outbreak? Because obviously that will have an impact on public transport use as well.
Well, it could look at it from both ways. My other suggestion was to look at the coronavirus in relation to how the council has reacted to it, whether councillors are happy with the way the council reacted to it or not. To look at, I don't know how we would do it, but it's something we probably should look at later in the year or next year when things have settled down, provided there's no second blip that they keep talking about. And whether the schools have gone back and that's been satisfactory or not really. So, I mean, there's a lot to come out of this virus problems. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the council has reacted very well. But there might well be items or areas that they haven't dealt with well, and we should be making recommendations. But I don't think we can do that at this current time. It's got to be done later in the year or early next year. That was one thing. So it might well be we could look at public transport in relation to the pandemic. It's something we should look at. But we put it on the diary. We can probably get some ideas on that. Yes.
Sorry, John, I've tried to come in. Talking about Peter Gabbard talking about quality, etc. I thought with the task group, in conjunction with that, we were looking at various fuels and electric, etc., like HVO, synthetic diesels, that sort of thing, because that's very important about what we're actually using on the roads, as well as actually increasing the traffic.
Yeah,
and the pollution.
Yeah.
And as part of that, air quality, I thought that whole thing, I think the task group, we were actually looking at fuels and things that we're using. More electric points, looking at synthetic diesels like HVO.
But I mean that also could come into, I would say, public transport. But I mean taxi drivers, if in 5 years' time, might well want to get onto electric cars, and they probably find they haven't got enough stations to charge the cars up with. So all these things are things we could look at in the long term, really. So I think if you leave that with Nina and myself to sort out a task group. To look at these things. So would you be happy to look at the council's reaction to the pandemic later in the year or next year? Do you think that's a good thing to look at? Or are you happy with the way they've reacted anyway?
I think we're doing well, John, but I think on public transport, I think it goes further than the COVID. I think it goes way back, and I'm getting a lot of people saying that the bus services that are being provided are not going to the places where they're needed. Well, and I think that's something we've got to look at.
Right. Well, I think the first thing we'll do then we'll set up a task group to look at the public transport. I think that's what we'll do. Now,
Chair,
looking for September. Yes. Hello.
Sorry, Chair. Yeah. Obviously, COVID-19 has impacted the whole country massively. Not to diminish the buses, but I think if we looked at the impact now, 6 months, 12 months, of COVID. I think that is a very important piece of work to understand the short, medium and long-term effects that it's had. And that goes from businesses, it goes to people, lone parents that are suffering because of school closures, you know, what impact that's had on them. It is a massive, massive piece of work. And I think we cannot underestimate how much that has impacted Chorley residents on every single level. And I think to do something first other than that would be a mistake in my view.
Right. So what are you suggesting, that we leave buses till to do it at the same time, or public transport
I
do
think
at the same time?
what we need to do, I think it's an unusual piece of work, because I think we need to understand the impacts it's had initially. I think we need to understand the impact it's going to have, say, for the next 12, 18 months, and then the impact, for instance, you know, the fact that children are not attending schools for months on end. What impact will that have in 5-10 years time? You know, people are talking about delaying school years, etc., etc. I've come across numerous parents who are having difficulty with the children, you know, and their mental health and things like that, because they're climbing the walls. Understandably, I climb the walls with my children, but that's a different matter. Yeah, I think there's a short-term investigation, and then there's what will happen in the ripples in the water.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but it might well be, because the public transport is going to go on irrespective whether the pandemic is still with us in 6 months' time or not. So I think we probably should look at the public transport with rail traffic and the bus services, and see what we can come up with. It's an ongoing thing, and it seems to change every year, the bus situation, and also the railways. So especially if now not Northern Rail, whatever they call it, is being run by the government anyway, that's something we should be probably looking anyway. But so I think we should start with before the new year with the public transport, and then in the new year look at the effect of the pandemic on Chorley residents, etc. How about that? Have I got a seconder for that?
I'll second that, John.
Okay, thank you. Any other things we should be looking at this moment in time? I think that'll be two big things we could do this year anyway. And I say, and when you talk, once we get to look at the air pollution report, then we probably, from that, we can divert out of it really, and look at various aspects of what the report says. Okay, thank you. Right, if everybody's happy with that, then I can say it isn't 7:45 yet. It's nearly 7:30.
It's not far off.
We aren't far off that clock. I'm not going to keep here a quarter of an hour.
Don't keep us here. No.
It's at the same time. So can I thank you for your attendance this evening, everybody, home and away. Thank you. Safe journey home to people who are here. Keep well.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah,
Night,
good night.
everybody.